Welcome back to Captain Crypto's Compass. In this video, we're going to look at Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoin is retracing. We see some weakness. What are our key support levels and what are the charts saying?
Hi, I'm Martin. I'm the founder of Captain Crypto's Compass. I'm a trader and a professor at the Financial Freedom Academy. I am passionate about helping you to achieve financial freedom through the art and the gift of trading. I will be providing you with actionable technical analysis and insights on your favorite cryptocurrency projects to help you make better and more informed decisions. If you're ready to take your trading to the next level, you're in the right place.
So let's dive into Bitcoin. I've opened up the 1 week chart on Bitstamp and I want to highlight a couple of patterns that I see here. Now, the first one that I want to highlight our attention to is we saw this relief rally now and a pullback into support. So what I want to draw attention to is this double top peak here. Roughly in December 2024, we can see we pushed into this zone here between about 106 to about $104,000, give or take. We can see it pushed into the resistance, creating market structure, this double top, pulled back towards the 50 SMA, the green line. Now, the 50 SMA is a very important line for the bull market. I just want to highlight and draw attention to this pattern that I'm seeing. Now, ever since the bull market started back in November 2022, we can see that this green line has acted as support for the entire bull market. We can see here in September 2023, pulling back to that 50 SMA. Again here in the pullback from the $73,000 peak in March 2024, we can see this pullback towards the 50 SMA, the green line. And yet again, this recent double top we formed here in December 2024, we can see a pullback to that 50 SMA. So the bull market support band for me is this 50 SMA. We can see in our previous cycles, once we actually broke and had a candle body close below the 50 SMA, that was the start of the bear market. So this is a very important level for me to watch out for the bull market. And as long as we can hold a candle body above the 50 SMA, we should still be in bullish territory. So the green line currently is sitting at roughly $95,000. So we can also see this large ascending parallel channel. We can see that Bitcoin has been trading in this parallel channel for quite some time, respecting the tops as resistance and finding support near the bottom of the parallel channel. So this is important. This is key market structure. We can still see this bullish sentiment for Bitcoin. So that is also very positive for us for a continuation to the upside. Now with this recent pullback, we've identified this key resistance battle zone for Bitcoin, taking a measured Fibonacci extension move from the pivot lows to pivot highs to pivot lows. This gave us the Fibonacci golden pocket resistance zone between roughly from $121,000 to this $127,000, $129,000 range. And we can see that Bitcoin now with this last relief rally came all the way to this resistance pocket, found resistance. We did not see a candle body close inside of the zone. We can see the wicks came into it and it got severely sold off. So this is our key resistance here, and we can see that Bitcoin now is retracing. So it's important to then look at our next logical levels of support for Bitcoin. What can we expect? And I've highlighted a couple of key areas that I'm looking out for. Now, the first is obviously these pivot high tops. We can see we have a couple of pivot high wicks here in this zone, and I've highlighted this by this orange box here. The reason for this is I want to see this battle zone held as support. It's currently being challenged. So this would be our most bullish scenario for Bitcoin if we can hold inside of the zone. Another important factor is I just take the anchored VWAP from this bottom pivot here at $98,000. We can see that that is currently trading at roughly about $114,000, and we have broken this anchored VWAP from this bottom pivot at roughly 98. So it's showing a little bit of signs of weakness here, showing us that the bears are in control, and we need to then identify the key areas of support. So the first one I'm looking out for is the zone between 112 to about 108. This would be the next logical level for support to enter. If we manage to break that, I'm also looking at the anchored VWAP from the bottom pivot at roughly about $74,000. It's this white moving average rather. We can see that coincides nicely with the yellow 21 SMA on the weekly.
Hey, I hope you're still enjoying the content. Remember to hit the like button, hit the sub button, and to ring the bell for notifications. Your support means the world to me personally, and I cannot do this without you.
Now, I've highlighted this as well. We can see here, just looking at our pivot bodies and our candle body closes, that this is also an area of importance here. So I've highlighted this as a key area for support to re-enter as well. This will be probably from around $107,000 all the way to this $104,000. This key level, this orange line here, is the large Fibonacci move, the 1.272. Measured from the previous bull market top and bottom. Let me just show you this. So taking a Fibonacci extensions from the top of the bull market in 2021 to the bottom of the bear market in November 2022. This gave us these Fibonacci extensions, the 1.272 at roughly 103, 104,000, the 1.414 at roughly 127,000, and the 1.616 at roughly about $173,000. So this is important, and why I've drawn these levels on my chart is just looking at the previous bull market, taking a similar measured move from the tops that we formed in December in 2017 all the way to the bottom of the bear market in December 2018, we can see that the orange, red, and blue lines marked the absolute top for this bull market right after the COVID crash. So this was a measured move and shows us the previous strength of the bull market during this period and the top in 2021. So this is important for me. If Bitcoin were to repeat the same strength, these are the logical levels that I would be looking at. So I've just marked these higher time frame Fibonacci retracement levels for me just to keep that in mind. And we can see here that the orange line was respected as resistance. As we broke it, that was respected as support. So we still have key market structure in play, and the bullish sentiment is still visible on the chart. So there's no need to panic necessarily for this correction that we're about to see. This would be a good accumulation zone if Bitcoin keeps on pulling back into our key support levels. And as long as we can maintain a support candle, a body candle above the 50 SMA, this would all be healthy market structure, retesting our previous pivot highs. We can see we tested it once, we're testing it yet again, and retesting our key market support at roughly about this $104,000 area. This is to be expected. Now, if I take a anchored view app from the previous pivot highs here at roughly about $108,000, this also gives us a white moving average line for the anchored view app, and we can see that that is currently sitting at roughly about $99,000. Now, what's interesting about this support band here, if I take a Fibonacci extensions and I take it from the previous pivot highs to lows to these recent pivot highs, this gives us a Fibonacci golden pocket support zone between the 0.5 and the 0.618 at roughly between about $102 and $98,000. And this coincides nicely with the previous low pivot we saw in Bitcoin. So I wouldn't be surprised if we keep on having the selling pressure to actually come all the way back down to this Fibonacci golden pocket close to the 50 SMA. That would be a logical level for support to re-enter, just taking it from these measured moves in the Fibonacci extensions. So this gives us this pocket that I'm waiting for. This would be a prime area to reload on Bitcoin, and then we will just need to see Bitcoin hold above the 50 SMA, and then we'll be in a position to actually retest and try and test these higher Fibonacci extensions level. There's 1.414 at roughly this 127,000. So that's what I'm currently seeing for Bitcoin. This is my outlook. To reinforce this idea of a correction, we can also then look at the Stochastics RSI, and we can see that the Stochastics RSI currently, the blue line is trading well above the orange line, showing us that bearish sentiment is prevailing, and we can see that it's moving to the bottom end of the RSI range. Now, what I want to see here is a reset of momentum. We can see during our previous correction that we had, we saw the blue line below the orange line, and we saw a consolidation phase, double bottom pattern, below the 20 level. So this would be something that I'm looking out for with momentum coming in here. We can see that we are approaching these lower levels on the Stochastics RSI. So I would not be surprised to see a little bit of consolidation at these levels, regroup, reset the momentum for Bitcoin, and then we'll be able to push higher. So these zones will be prime accumulation areas, and I want to see it hold above the 50 SMA, as that is my bull market support band. So that's currently at roughly about 95.
Hey, I hope you're still enjoying the content. Remember to hit the like button, hit the sub button, and to ring the bell for notifications. Your support means the world to me personally, and I cannot do this without you.
I wouldn't be surprised if we do come in here with a severe correction to see wicks below the 50 SMA here. We can see the market structure here on the left highlighted here. We can see that that is roughly between about $93,000 and $91,000. Even if we see wicks into this area, I do not want to see a candle body close below the 50 SMA. Now, looking at our RSI as well, our relative strength index, I've highlighted a couple of patterns that I saw here. Now, the first is this symmetrical triangle pattern. We can see that we have been on a downtrend with the RSI, showing a little bit of weakness here, but we've also been forming an uptrend from the bottom pivots. So downtrend from the top pivots and uptrend from the bottom pivots, forming this symmetrical triangle shape. Now, what I can see here with this recent push into this trend line here, that we did not manage to break the downtrend on the RSI, and we are currently retracing from this resistance area here, and we're pulling back into our key support for the RSI. Now, the first level that I want to see hold, if you're just looking at market structure here, I've highlighted this area. Let me just make this orange to show the battle zone. But we can see that we've broken past our previous pivot highs here. We did not manage to hold support on top of this area as we did in our previous correction here. So this will logically put more pressure on the lower support levels on the RSI. Currently that's sitting at roughly about 53 to about 51, and the bottom pivot is sitting at roughly about 45. So this would also be at the bottom end of the symmetrical triangle. So logically, if we do see a correction, we can maybe see the RSI even testing these lower levels on the RSI, this 47 to 44 level on the RSI at the bottom end of the symmetrical triangle, and hopefully then we'll be able to reset the momentum on Stochastics RSI to push into this resistance downtrend we are currently forming on the RSI. So these are the key levels that I'm seeing. So it's a little squeezing at the moment, still respecting the downtrend on the RSI, but we do have an opportunity to start finding support on these next logical levels. So that would coincide with the idea that we might see a larger correction in Bitcoin, moving to this golden pocket at roughly about 102 and $98,000. So keep this pattern in your mind. As we are retracing now, these are the key levels that I'm looking for support to re-enter, for reaccumulation in Bitcoin, and then reset our momentum, and then we can push into these higher Fibonacci extension targets. As always, peace and love, and happy trading.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this content, hit the like button, hit the sub button, and hit the bell notifications. Also, remember to click the link in the description below to join my mailing list, where I'll be sending you free emails and trading videos, and also market report updates weekly to help you stay ahead of the herd. As always, this community would not be the same without you, and thank you from the bottom of my heart. Peace and love. See you next time.